Hola mi gente, I'm back again with another video, and today we're going to be talking about something really important. I mentioned it in my last video about manifestation and the 5 tips, and I felt that it was going to be really important to go a little bit deeper in talking about limiting beliefs and how these are so powerful for so many aspects of how we proceed in our life. And so today we're going to go all into that, and I'm going to give you all the reasons why this would happen and how to change it. So let's jump right in. Let's talk about what is a limiting belief. So, a limiting belief are subconscious thoughts that you have that you don't know that you have. And everybody has these. Every single person has limiting beliefs. They're inevitable. It's just a product of being human. So, don't feel bad if you have these limiting beliefs. It's just part of being human. And so these beliefs are things that limit how you perceive things, and then those perceptions will then interpret to your behaviors, and those behaviors then equal in actions. So thoughts produce perceptions about things, perceptions produce behaviors, those behaviors produce actions. So if you have a limiting belief, these are running in the background and eventually impact how you act and how you choose to do things on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to give you an example of how a limiting belief runs in your mind. So have you ever been driving and all of a sudden you're like spaced out thinking about something else, maybe something that happened at work, or what are you going to cook for dinner, and you find yourself arriving at your destination without really thinking about where you were going as you were driving? Has that ever happened to you? Maybe it's only happened to me, but definitely if that is happening to you, that's your subconscious like taking over and like doing the things that it normally would do. So that's exactly how limiting beliefs play in our mind. We don't even know that it's happening. Okay, where do these limiting beliefs come from? So most of our limiting beliefs come from our childhood experiences, things that our parents have said. I would even go out to say like, inherited beliefs. So from generation to generation, it can be passed down from your ancestors, beliefs about certain things that then have been inherited to your parents and then therefore passed on to you. Also, culture plays a big role in what our limiting beliefs are, our cultural expectations about things, which is huge. For those of you who identify with me being a Latina, that is like, oh my goodness, I could do a whole video just on that, and I think I just might, about the limiting beliefs around being a Latina and what a Latina should be doing, and how that can also play out in the things that you choose to do and the things that you actually end up pursuing in your life based on some of those cultural beliefs. Those are intense. Society, media plays a big role in our limiting beliefs. Right now, beauty is a big thing, right? If you don't look a certain way, how that can subconsciously program your mind to feel like you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, all the enough stories around your beauty. And also any past failures or any situations that have happened to you can also form a limiting belief. Or even if you're very critical of yourself, those self-criticizing thoughts can also form limiting beliefs in your mind about who you are and what you're capable of doing. So this is why I say that nobody's exempt from these things. Everybody has some form of limiting belief because we are all interacting with each other based on our own limiting beliefs that then get inherited from others. Don't feel bad. Again, if you have discovered that you have any, it is totally normal. So how these limiting beliefs can block your dreams, let me tell you, these limiting beliefs are so sneaky. They're like, I can't tell you how many times I've caught myself in the middle of doing something and then been like, why am I even doing this? Why am I even feeling this way? Right? Because it's actually like something that makes me laugh. Oftentimes, I'll be talking with friends, engaging in conversation, and I'll catch myself thinking something, or somebody will say something, and it'll make me laugh because I could tell that that's a limiting belief. But that's like my sick humor. Anyway, how do they block? If, let's say, you have a limiting belief about not being smart, right? Let's say you feel like you're not smart enough, and therefore you go through life collecting evidence that proves that you're not smart enough. So you may get a failing grade at something. And let's say, for example, you had a really tough experience as a child where a teacher told you you weren't smart, or you couldn't read, or whatever they told you. And you believed this as a child. And as you were growing up, you started to collect evidence that validated that lie in your mind. So you went ahead and maybe didn't do well in other exams and started to validate and say, oh, it's because I'm dumb, I can't read, or I'm unable to learn. And then let's say, for example, you got a little older and you tried to apply for a job and you didn't get the job. Oh yeah, it's because I'm dumb and I'm not able to learn. That's why I didn't get this job. Or later on in life, you didn't get a promotion, or any other situation will, so quote unquote, give you evidence towards that lie or that limiting belief. It strengthens that limiting belief. It makes you really feel like this is true because look what's happening in my life. I'm going to touch a little bit on why that happens a little later on. But that's also something that we're subconsciously creating in another way. But I'm not going to get too deep in this video about that. But yes, that is one of the ways that we start to block ourselves, is that we start to collect evidence looking for reasons to validate the lie. One of the things that starts to do is create procrastination and inaction. So now you feel like, oh, well, I'm not going to go for that promotion because I know I'm not going to get it because I'm dumb, I'm not smart enough, I can't learn. So I'm not going to even go for it. I'm not even going to put myself in that league. Another thing would be a fear of success, a fear of failure. And I'm not going to go ahead and do that because, oh my God, I'm going to fail again. Like the time that I did Y and Z, I remember that. And therefore, I'm not going to put myself in that situation again. I'm going to protect myself. And let me also put a little disclaimer here. The mind is doing this. The subconscious is not an evil thing, right? It's doing this to protect you. So in some instance of your life, there was an experience that was traumatic, that was upsetting, that was not fun, not favorable. And therefore your mind decided, well, we can't let this happen again. Let's put up these blocks so that this doesn't ever happen again. And so although it's trying to protect you, it's also limiting you, which is a form of protection. So don't think that, like, oh my God, there's this evil thing happening in my mind. No, right? It's really just how we're wired to be able to survive and protect ourselves. And let me also say, there are a lot of beliefs that we have that the subconscious is actually protecting us from that are good for us. There's experiences that we've had that we know now not to go down that road because they are potentially dangerous. Oh, maybe if you got burned once, your mind is like, oh, let's not do that again. So make sure that you're not, frying chicken and with your face over the frying pan, because that is something that actually happened to me. And therefore I know now not to do that. And I won't even get anywhere near the frying pan, right? Let's not make the subconscious a bad guy. It's just how we're wired to be human. Another thing that will be a result of how these limiting beliefs block you is that they start to create a low self-esteem and a low self-worth. You start to believe you're not deserving of certain things. You're not worthy of a certain experience, opportunity, a life, a dream, a goal. And this is how we then keep ourselves small. Again, it's totally normal. I don't want you guys running around and thinking like I'm all screwed up in the head. Like, no, this is totally normal behavior. How do you know that the limiting beliefs are actually blocking you? So these are some symptoms that would be apparent if the limiting belief was actively getting in the way of you living your best life. The symptoms would be a stuck feeling, feeling unfulfilled, feeling like my life is not moving forward. I kind of feel like I'm blah, right? That's a big sign that something is disconnecting. There's not a match here. Another one is doubt, not believing that you can do something, not believing that you're able. Another reason is being very negative to outcomes. So maybe something good does happen and you're already like, oh, that's really not gonna last, or oh, it's just a matter of time before it goes south, right? So like maybe you got a call from an interview that you wanted, and you go to the interview and you're like, I'm probably not gonna get it, I doubt it, because my limiting belief, they had other better qualified people. I saw this other girl there and she looked very professional, so she's probably gonna get the job and I'm not. That's a typical behavior of when limiting beliefs are blocking you. And finding yourself repeating in patterns. If you find yourself going in circles, like, why am I going through this again? I just went through this. I thought I just overcame this. Why am I back here again? There's a limiting belief that's bringing you back around. It's like blocking you from the exit of this loop. So that's another big telltale sign. And your language. If you constantly are in the negative about things, talking down on yourself, being very overcritical of yourself. And listen, let me just tell you, I was the queen of self criticism, okay? Like the queen of self criticism. Nobody could tell me worse than me how bad I was. And this was like everything. And this is another little caveat that probably will lead to a whole other video. That's breeding ground for people who are perfectionists, is because they are overcompensating for something that they believe that they're lacking, or they don't want the world to see that they're lacking. So that's a whole other video. I'm not going to get into that, but I just had to mention that because I was so self-critical. I was overly like an overachieving perfectionist. Everything had to be perfect. Everything had to be like in order. And if it wasn't, I was judging myself. I was automatically like going to town on my own like destructive thoughts. So that is definitely a sign of limiting beliefs playing a role in how you are navigating your life. So the next thing we're going to talk about is, how do we change this? How do we stop this from happening? So I would definitely have to say that the first thing is that you have to get to a place where you're sick and tired of this. Sick and tired of feeling stuck, sick and tired of going around in the same circles, sick and tired of like being negative towards yourself. You just got to get to a place where you're just exhausted of things happening the same way, and just being tired and being ready to go all in on what it is that's going to take you to get to the next level. You got to be sick and tired to the point where you're completely ready to go all in on making the change. If you're not there yet, it's going to be very difficult, because I find that you have to be at a place where you're feeling like, I can't do this anymore. My life has to be completely different because I feel like I'm dying. For you to then go on the opposite end and say, like, I'm ready to do anything and everything to change this because I can't keep feeling this way. I feel like an empty shell. I feel like a zombie just going through the motions of my life. I feel so unfulfilled. Like every morning I'm struggling to wake up because there's nothing I'm looking forward to in my life. I mean, This is just an example of a period. If you're in this period for a very long time, that could be signs for something else. I'm not a mental health professional, so please, if any of these symptoms are happening to you for a very long time, I do recommend seeking out assistance and some support with that, because that could be indications of bigger and more serious things. Either way, everything I'm about to share with you is going to be for your benefit. So any action that you take once you've decided that you want to change things is only going to improve your life 1000%. That's the first thing. You have to be sick and tired. Second thing is start reflecting and watching your thoughts. Take a moment and at the end of your day and just really reflecting, how did it go for me today? Did I do anything different? Was I paying attention to how I was speaking? Were there any thoughts that came up that were kind of like, oh, there's that thought again about me saying this? I don't even know what happens in our brain, but once you're aware of the change that you're trying to make, it's almost like a little light starts to go off every time you do something that goes against what it is that you're wanting. It's like something automatic, but it's like this little thing that kind of goes, you're doing that thing again. You just said that you weren't going to do that. Like, there it is again. And so you got to pay attention to that. The next thing is, I've said this before, journaling. Journaling, I love journaling. That is my go-to. I have kept a journal since I was a teen, maybe even before I was a teen, and I have kept it my entire life. And it is so good to journal. It's good to journal just to vent, and it's good to journal to reflect. So if you don't feel confident in taking the time out and thinking about your day or reflecting, journaling will have you like saying some stuff in paper that you're gonna be like, whoa, that just came out of my head. Like, where was that? I'm telling you, I have had the most profound shifts journaling, y'all, journaling. It's a great place to vent. If you're having any frustration, any anger, go write it out, and you'll start to see like, your thoughts as you're writing things out. It's so powerful. And even for reflecting, I'm reflecting on my day. That's a great place to start for journaling. Like, this is what happened today, and I felt like this today. I always recommend people to start very neutral place like that with journaling. Some people don't like it, but that's fine. It's whatever works for you. But I'm telling you, journaling. The other thing that will support you is flipping your thoughts from negative to positive. So again, catching yourself, and when you catch yourself saying, well, I can't do that, well, why not? And if you give yourself a reason, oh, because I don't know how, does that mean that you can't do it, or it just means that you don't know how to do it? And if you don't know how to do it, can you learn? And do you want to learn? And what is available to you once you learn? Once you start getting into the habit of questioning why you're thinking certain things and flipping it from a negative to a positive, that is super duper powerful as well. I highly recommend that as well. That's one of the things that has helped me so much as in my journey is thinking about like, well, why am I thinking that? And where did that come from? And why can't I think the other way, like, or the opposite of what I'm saying? Like, what is stopping me in that way? Sometimes I'm like, nothing. It was just me thinking that for whatever dumb reason, right? So challenge yourself to like think about the opposite of what it is that you're saying. If you're in a negative, think about like, well, what if you flipped it on a positive? Another way in which you can start to change your behavior, another powerful tool is recording yourself. So if you're not great on journaling, boo to you. Definitely record your thoughts. Take out your phone and just start venting into the phone, talking out loud. Even if you're emotional, just letting it all out however you would. And when you're back in a neutral place and feeling more calm, replaying back that audio, I'm telling you, you'll start to be like, what was I thinking? What am I saying? Like, this is scary. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've done that and replayed it and then felt like almost, I don't know what the word is, felt like compassion for myself and being like, oh my God, like, Sarah, you get to love yourself more. Like, why are you being so hard on yourself? Why are you being so harsh? And I'm a big proponent of saying like, hey, talk to yourself the same way you would talk to a child. Would you talk to a child the same way you talk to yourself? Probably not. And that's a good way to gauge whether or not your self-talk is a little bit too aggressive and if you're being too harsh on yourself. Because there's no reason why we need to be the worst person in our lives. I can't tell you how important it is for you to watch how you talk to yourself. Recording your thoughts when you're in a rant, when you're feeling discouraged, is so powerful, so powerful. So I highly recommend that. If you're ready to start making that change, let me just tell you, this stuff is not easy, right? It's not easy to hear yourself in that state. It's not easy to hear the things that you're saying about yourself. It's very challenging. But if you really want to change your life and you're really ready to let go of like the patterns and the feeling stuck and the negative behavior and all that stuff, then trust me, you're going to want to take these steps and put them into action. So I'm going to give you some tools so that you can put into place, aside from some suggestions I just gave you of how to change them, I'm going to give you additional tools to support you in changing these thoughts and behaviors, perceptions, and actions. First thing, everybody always says affirmations. Affirmations are very, very powerful. They do help, but not everybody loves them. It's a matter of how you utilize them. You can listen to them in audio, you can write them out, you can say them out loud yourself. Especially powerful if you say them out loud to yourself in a mirror. Okay, that's for those who are really trying to go in and make life-altering changes. But affirmations really support you in learning how to talk to yourself better, because we sometimes don't have an example, right? Sometimes we've been brought up in situations or in surroundings that were highly negative or toxic, and we may not have the language to actually support how to change our language to ourselves. So affirmations are a great place for you to learn how to talk to yourself and how to reframe these thoughts. Another one is positive influences. So being around people that are positive, people that are doing things, people that are up to things in their lives. I always said, like, you are the sum of the closest five people in your life. That is your net worth. Like, whatever their net worth is, that's your net worth. Same thing when it comes to positivity. If you surround yourself with people that are highly positive and moving forward in their lives, guess what? That's going to be reflective in your life. Meditation. We've all heard how meditation is transformative, how powerful it is. I'm not going to get into details around meditation, but we already know all of that is true. I got out of a very dark space that I was in for over a year by using meditation. And I wasn't even looking for the meditation to help me per se. I was kind of wanting to do something different to fall asleep. And I was listening to meditation audios to help me just relax so that I can fall asleep. And I cannot tell you, that was like how can I give you the example? It's like the breaking light from being buried in a tunnel. Not that I've ever been buried in a tunnel, but that's the example that I'm giving you. Okay, it was like the little bit of light that started to shine into my world of darkness and completely shifted my life to, hey, now I'm here giving you pointers, right? So meditation is so powerful, so powerful. And a combination of these at the same time, look, you're just cooking, you're cooking in the kitchen and you're making that good stuff if you start to combine all these elements together. If you're doing meditation with affirmations, even better. If you're surrounding yourself around positive people who like to meditate, hey, right? Now you're really layering things on and you're really putting on a nice thick coat of support for you to start to evolve into this new version of yourself that's going to change your thoughts. Your thoughts are everything. Everything you think is so powerful. I'm gonna put like an extended version of tools for those of you who really want to go in. Is also like watching like what you're listening to, paying attention to what you're consuming on social media, what you're digesting. Everything is what you're consuming. And so if you're on this path of like, hey, I need to be in a positive mindset, I'm making these changes, guess what? I highly recommend you also pay attention in those places too, because that can be almost counterproductive, especially if you have people that are close to you. If they're not on the same wavelength with you, that can also be a little bit of a challenge. I just wanted to kind of give you those little tidbits and nuggets of additional tools to help support you in changing your mindset, because mindset is everything. Mindset is everything. I want to thank you for being here with me today as I explain to you how limiting beliefs can really block our dreams. And remember that breaking through these barriers isn't an overnight thing. It's going to take time, little by little. And if, again, the more you apply yourself, the more you layer things on top of each other, the more consistent you are, the quicker you're going to see results. I really hope that you embrace some of these strategies. If you haven't been on this journey yet, I highly invite you to join and try them on and see if it works for you. If it doesn't, then you have nothing to lose, but possibly changing your life. So thank you guys. If you like this video, please leave me a comment below, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.